Well guys, if the Nintendo drought wasn't dry enough, it's getting even drier, because Nintendo is now reportedly skipping out on another major event this year, being Gamescom. Now Nintendo has a shaky history with Gamescom altogether. They're not always there, and in fact, ever since COVID, it's been 4 years since they've been there, and 2023 finally ending that 4-year streak, where obviously they showed up, and they had a lot of things that year that they could have people play, like Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Pikmin 4, Fire Emblem Engage, and even Metroid Prime Remastered. And that's just some of the games that came out in 2023. So Nintendo had a reason to be there. And of course, they're not showing up this year. This actually comes from Nintendo themselves, or a representative from Nintendo stating that they will not be at this year's Gamescom. There can be a whole bunch of reasons why Nintendo's just skipping out on Gamescom, the obvious reason being there's no Nintendo games, and a lot of people say they always do this when there's no Nintendo games, and that's not the case. The last 4 years didn't have no Nintendo games. Nintendo just didn't go to Gamescom. For instance, 2021, you had Mario Party Superstars, you had Monster Hunter Rise, Metroid Dread, Shin Megami Tensei 5, there's lots of games thrown in there, even Bowser's Fury with Mario 3D World. And 2022 was no exception, with Splatoon 3, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Triangle Strategy, Bayonetta 3, so yeah, Nintendo's definitely had games, and sometimes they just choose not to show up to Gamescom. But I've already seen online that people are getting a little worried that this means Nintendo has nothing to show before Gamescom, which Gamescom is in August, and you know, there's some pretty big months before August, such as the month of June, where Nintendo normally would have their biggest E3 showcase, or just a big Nintendo Direct showcasing some of their biggest games coming in that year or the next year. And with Nintendo not having a single General Direct or even a mini General Direct this year, it's starting to make people wonder if Nintendo's doing anything. And a lot of people are starting to really expect there to be something in June, but with this announcement, a lot of people are thinking, well, if Nintendo was going to announce a new console in June and maybe even some games, wouldn't they have some type of Gamescom? Not necessarily, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a brand new console, and if this console isn't coming until the beginning of next year, what would Nintendo have at Gamescom? I don't think they're going to let people play this new console and these new games, you know, in August of 2024 when the console's coming out in March of 2025. It just wouldn't make any sense. That is so far in advance. So it's not doom and gloom because Nintendo's not going to Gamescom, but last year at Gamescom, something very interesting did in fact happen. There was a lot of reports of developers behind the scenes talking with Nintendo and collaborating with Nintendo on this next console, because of course Nintendo's working with developers in order to put third-party games and just other first-party games from other partner developers onto their Switch, so they're gonna have to, you know, talk with these partners and, you know, give away dev kits and talk about dev kits, and the reports have been going crazy about this happening last year at Gamescom, which is last August. And of course, this was raising expectation for some type of big reveal or announcement of the next Switch being at the beginning of this year. But then that internal delay happened. Apparently, once again, we don't know what's happening because Nintendo hasn't been talking, so we have to just go off of rumors. But yes, with that internal delay, it just shuffles everything up, and this could just be a scramble year for Nintendo as they're trying to pick up their cards after dropping them all and trying to figure out what to do next. But so far, Nintendo has missed out on a lot of things. There hasn't been a General Direct that we normally get in February. There really hasn't been any sort of game announcements or game reveals or anything to look forward to. Nintendo hasn't even talked about anything that's going to be coming soon, including a presentation for the next console. We don't even know if June, in fact, is going to have anything. There was a slight rumor, I guess, out there of some type of Direct happening in April, and apparently that rumor is now being put to shame, saying that it's not happening. There's nothing happening in April. So what are we doing? What is going on? Nintendo is just completely quiet this year. Look, I know this is crazy to say right now with a year where we haven't gotten anything, but I always say no news is good news in certain situations, and I feel like this situation still is a good time to say that. The fact that Nintendo didn't have a General Direct or any Direct so far makes it definitely different than normal. This is not the same year that we're going to have that we've normally have, like a Direct in February and a big Direct in June. Maybe there's something else throwing these plans astray. Maybe there's some type of really big presentation coming up. And of course, we know Nintendo doesn't always like to do what the community is doing. They don't always do things during big gaming events like Gamescom or even the Game Awards, or even when E3 has certain shows. Sometimes they've skipped out and done their own thing. Nintendo works privately. They do their own individual presentations and just big announcements and stuff like that. So I feel like that's what they're going to do moving forward. I feel like there could be a very big presentation or some type of reveal this summer. I'm not confirming anything. I don't know any inside sources, but there's just things coming up where Nintendo has to announce something soon. So I don't think this is going to last forever. For instance, there is an investors meeting, a very important one, coming up in May. The end of May. A lot of people think they have to reveal something. They have to talk about something, at least get out the name of the console, at least get out something about this new console, maybe some type of presentation showing some games coming out. Because right now, the investors meeting being at the end of May, Endless Ocean's Luminous will already be released, and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, probably the biggest game this year so far, will already be released too, leaving nothing but Luigi's Mansion 2. A 3DS game. So yes, Nintendo's gonna have to reveal something or people aren't gonna invest. That leaves absolutely no hype on the table for the rest of the year. We don't know if there's any other games coming out, and speaking of games, Nintendo's got to reveal some big games coming out in the future, especially if they are just coming to Switch 2 at the beginning of next year. They got to reveal those soon. I mean, who cares about the new console? That's all great and all. I mean, we all kind of care, but like at the same time, we buy new Nintendo consoles to play new Nintendo games. What are these games? Everybody out there is just like, be patient. Nintendo's gonna talk soon, but eventually the patience has to end. Like once we start moving into May and even June, and Nintendo still hasn't had any type of major Nintendo Direct or first-party announcements or any information regarding the next Switch, that's a little scary. I think that is time where we start to be like, okay, something is wrong with Nintendo right now. They are in panic mode, because if we go into July and there's no information about anything, no upcoming games, I mean, there's nothing to look forward to. I mean, think about it. After Luigi's Mansion 2, there's nothing. There's no holiday game. There's no more remasters, remakes, or ports. I do believe Nintendo could drop some information on some upcoming games on Twitter. For instance, they could be like, hey, here's Wind Waker. Here's Twilight Princess. Oh, here's Metroid Prime 2. Here's Metroid Prime 3. They could easily do that on Twitter without any type of presentation. That could definitely be the rest of this year. But at the same time, Nintendo has to do something. They either have to put something out on Twitter, give us some type of presentation, or just give us the name of the new console, something to get us hype. Like I said, the games are important. Nintendo needs to come out and at least give us some trailers to some of these new games coming at the beginning of next year. If we have to wait a whole year to play these games, okay, just show us what we're going to be playing. At least give us something to chat and talk about, because right now, it's very dry for Nintendo. I mean, there's nothing to get excited for and nothing to really chat about right now. It's just like, okay, we're just still moving slowly throughout this year and waiting for Nintendo to do something, and every now and then a rumor will pop up and then just get dismissed. I mean, it's been so bad, even the rumor mill has been dry recently. There hasn't even been a real concrete rumor suggesting something happening soon. It looks like Nintendo's done killed off all the quote-unquote leakers. So whatever's happening, we're just going to have to wait a little while longer, I guess, because May seems to be kind of a deadline area, May and June. So hopefully Nintendo does something around those months, but yes, let's just enjoy these games coming out. Let's all enjoy Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Endless Oceans, and of course Luigi's Mansion 2. But let me know in the comments down below, do you think Nintendo missing Gamescom this year is a sign or an indicator of something bad, maybe an indicator of something good, or maybe nothing? Who knows? But thank you so much for tuning in. We're trying to reach 300,000 subscribers, so stop what you're doing. A lot of you watching are not yet subscribed. But thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.